Hey everybody, we are live, hiding behind the screen this evening because he's dead scared to come out on his own. It's Luke from 3 Days of Wonder, everyone. Give a warm welcome. There you go. I tell you what, it's really difficult actually getting teenagers to come to the stage this evening. You know, I've had to dress him, and we're also missing the others of 3 Days of Wonder because they're doing their homework. Okay, or we don't know where they are. So we're chasing where they are, and we've decided before the show even starts this evening that Luke, the main man and the manager of the band, is basically going to dock any of them that do not show up this evening on tonight's show. Okay, and we're going to also think of a punishment for you if you are hiding in the backgrounds underneath your books. Okay, so welcome to the show, everyone. Welcome to One Life. How are we this evening? Are we well? That's including you, Luke. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I'm very good.
Fantastic. That's what I like to hear. So welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to One Life. We have got a little bit of a packed show this evening. We have got to decide who our next charity is going to be for this evening, okay, for the next month, okay, because that wheel is going to have to come out because we've run out of time to support the Global Foodbanks from around the world. So this is the final show for Global Foodbanks. You have all done amazing this month. All of the artists that have been on the show, thank you so much for sending in your kind donations of money. And I haven't totted up how much money had been sent in, but we're well over £150, and that is absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. And all those who took food to your local food banks after the shows, well done. If you took photos, we still want them to be sent in so we can show them off. If you didn't take photos, it doesn't matter as long as the food went down to your local food banks. We're proud of you. Thanks for a really, really big effort, everyone. Well done. That's absolutely fantastic. In relation to One Life, not much to tell you. It's been a bit sort of quiet since last night, but we have been busy behind the scenes with the Academy and also been busy in terms of One Life. But I must tell you, the ISSA award voting is 2 days away from being counted by the judges, and they will tell us who is in the finals to go to Atlanta. Okay, so we're keeping our fingers crossed here at One Life for all those people who basically dedicate their time to local charities and the music industry. Okay, because One Life wants to go to Atlanta. We want a party. We also want to show how good and how talented our artists are, like 3 Days of Wonder. Okay, so that's it for One Life this evening because I've got so much to ask poor Luke, who has been left on his own. He's pouncing up and down and he's like had enough of the boys already. We will think of some punishments for him, Luke. Don't you worry. We'll make sure that they're not left out of this. And if they turn up throughout the show, we're going to name and shame them when they turn up, okay? We will make sure we've got them. So poor Luke's going to have to do the interview on his own until they turn up. So if you are the mums and dads of the rest of the group, please encourage them to go to their phones, log on, and come on tonight's show. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so Luke, thanks for joining us. Thanks for 3 Days of Wonder. I tell you what, the first question I've got to ask is, how does a boy band of 15 to 19 years old come up with a title of 3 Days of Wonder?
So that's an interesting question. We get that question quite a lot, to be fair. Basically, so there's a author called Rudyard Kipling who very famously wrote the Jungle Book, and he did quite a lot of poetry as well. And I was I've got the books right here, actually. This is one of the books. My grandparents basically gave me these books that are they're pretty old. They were kind of theirs when they were a kid and stuff. So I was kind of reading through those, and then basically in one of his poems, he talks about a trip that he went on when he went to Burma, and he went there for a long period of time. But he talked about these specific 3 days where he went to these kind of ancient spiritual temples, and he said it just felt kind of like a sort of escape, a haven that he went to for 3 days, where it felt, you know, there was no worries. And basically, when we create shows, that's kind of what we want to do. We want to take people out of the worries that they've got, bring them into a show, and for that hour and a half, you know, just really just embed them into the 3 Days of Wonder. So that's why we got the name. We thought it was quite fitting.
It is absolutely amazing way to come up with a name for a boy band. Do you know what? We take comments throughout the evening. Luke, sit still for a minute because you have just got a hello guys all the way from Greece, from Dimitri, who is currently number 1 in his charts in Greece, beating Ariana Grande, who is sitting at number 3. Dimitri, welcome to the show, young man, and thank you for popping into this particularly special podcast for 3 Days of Wonder. And I tell you what, wow, thank you. Dimitri basically is a voting member of the Grammys also. What an honor to have Dimitri on the show to come and say hi to 3 Days of Wonder all the way from Devon. That is amazing, Dimitri. Thank you so much for coming and saying hi to these guys. And, you know, Luke will be meeting some of our mentors from the Academy and hopefully meet Dimitri so he can give some of his knowledge on the Grammys, and also how do we top that some of those amazing artists being an indie artist in the field. Okay, so wow, Luke, what do you reckon, mate? Dimitri's on tonight.
Yo, what's up, Dimitri? That's crazy. Thanks for tuning in from Greece. You absolute legend.
Absolute legend. He's an absolute legend, our Dimitri. We love him dearly, and he is one of the tutors and one of the supporters of the One Life Academy. So fantastic. So okay, so band members wise, when you all like got together, was it a difficult process to pick band members for your band? Did you have to go through a sort of a religious sort of like, you know, 1,000 people to join 3 Days of Wonder? How did it all get together?
So it's interesting, really, because our band has been going now for about a year and 9 months, maybe, I think it is coming up to now. So our lineup had a bit of a change in September of 2024 because a couple of the boys from the original lineup were going off to university. So it just didn't really work. They were going away. So, but fortunately, in the August before that September, Charlie Churchill, our amazing bassist, he got in touch with us. I've been in bands with Charlie previously, so I knew his kind of capability. I knew he was a great player and a really good guy. And he got in touch saying, you know, if you ever need someone to step in on bass, I'd be happy to do it. So we did a couple gigs with him where the bassist couldn't make it, and we were like, this guy's wicked. You know, do you want to be a member full time? And he was like, yeah, I'm totally up for that. And then with our new drummer Dan, he's new as of final week of January, so he's only been in the band 3 months now. But yeah, we went through quite a long audition process for that. Really, I think we must have auditioned 15 to 20 drummers, maybe.
Wow.
It took us a long time to kind of find the right guy, and we had a couple of gigs where we had to have a session player come in and play for us because we just couldn't find the right guy because it's so hard to find people who are young, really committed, and willing, basically, and a good player as well.
You just say committed. They're not here, Luke.
Oh,
That's no commitment. I'll tell you what.
To be fair, Adrian, I actually just got a text saying he's working at the pub. So,
okay, pub's more important, eh?
But yeah,
I'll tell you what,
the other lads have no excuse. But yeah, he is grafting at the minute. To be fair, but yeah, so we got Dan in January of this year, and he's just slotted in really well. He's a great player. And then Finn's been there since the beginning. He's basically my writing partner. He pretty much writes most of the music to our songs. Then I write the melody and lyrics, really. So obviously there's a little bit of kind of back and forth, kind of constructive criticism. But yeah, he's just amazing. And Adrian was actually saying before this interview, like, geez, that boy can play, and he's only 16. So yeah, no, he's phenomenal. He's really, really good.
We've got that coming up later. And I'll tell you what, in the next Dimitri, if you can stick around or retune back in within the next 5 minutes, we're going to play one of their songs. Because I'll tell you what, the youth of today, there is some talent out there. We have seen the youth in relation to how they can sing, how they can play on things like Britain's Got Talent, The Voice. There's some fantastic bands from everywhere coming out. And they're coming out younger and younger and younger, in relation to forming bands and being very professional. One of the things that I've liked about your tracks, Luke, is they are professional. If we closed our eyes, we would not believe the age group that you have in your band. It must be quite an honor to play in some of the venues that you play, but also to form the way you form, to come up with such great music.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's just when I found Finn and when he sent me his kind of initial ideas, it really just, I felt pretty kind of privileged to be in that situation where it was kind of like, this is just going to work. it's just going to click like right from the get go. It was just kind of meant to be. Really, it was great.
Fantastic. So, we all have watched the Queen tribute in relation to the film, and we saw all the habits of all the band members on that film. The drummer particularly was one with the ladies. So, every single time that he went to his gigs, he was picking up a new lady every time. Okay. So as the boys aren't here tonight and they're giving excuses like they're working, or they're giving excuses that they're hiding underneath their books, what I'm going to do is ask Luke, as the front man and as the leader of the band, to tell everybody out there a little bit about that they don't know about these band members. Okay. So for you fans listening out there, Luke is going to tell you a bit about the band members and some of their bad habits when they go to a gig. Okay. So, Luke, let's start off with the drummer. When he turns up at a gig, what are his bad habits?
Oh, man. Honestly, I feel so bad speaking like this. But, he can have a little bit of a tendency to have a little bit of a drink before we play, which we try and not do. I know.
Boys, do not be drinking at your age. And also, come on, if you're drinking while trying to play the drums, that must be difficult. Okay, how about the guitarist? What are their bad habits between the two of them?
Honestly, I can't really. I'm trying to think. There's not much to pick off, really. I would say our bassist Charlie has a bit of a cherry Pepsi addiction. Never really seen him without cherry Pepsi these days. He's just always got a can of cherry Pepsi in his hand, just swinging away. Finn, Finn. The only thing I can say bad about him really is he has a tendency to be quite self-critical, but sometimes over a bit too self-critical, to be fair. But
I hope that's not on stage. I hope he doesn't criticize himself on stage while he's playing.
We make sure
afterwards.
We make sure it's no bad words until no criticism even until we're in the car. And then once we're in the car, we can say what we actually thought.
So he's the band member that you leave behind because he's going to be moaning all the way home. Come on, we were talking about this at the Academy. Everybody, Luke is part of the One Life Academy. We were talking about this in detail last week when we were talking about the image of a band. What is it like being a boy band in 2025? When you go and play in these venues, do the girls scream? Do they, ask to go out on dates and spend all your money? Is it like that in 2025 for a boy band?
Oh, well, honestly, Adrian, we are all in my band taken men. So we
okay.
So we have to we've got to keep on the safer side, But now we did a gig on Saturday, and it was a sold out gig. It was a really, really good gig, raising money for Music Venue Trust. Really class gig at the Barrelhouse in Totnes. Like I say, we managed to sell it out, and between us and the headline band, it was probably pretty similar on ticket sales. So I'd say we sold about, the capacity of the venue is 150, and I'd say we probably sold 70 or 80 tickets maybe. And I will be honest, the majority, in terms of kind of the majority of them were of the kind of, they were women, to be honest with you. But I won't say any more than that.
How do you, because you're saying that you've got permanent partners, how do they cope with the fact that there's a group of lads playing music in front of loads of screaming girls? Okay, how do they cope in a relationship with you lot?
Oh, just gotta have a lot of trust. They're just trusting us to be loyal, which we're good lads, so we're all right.
Do they spend your money?
Oh yeah, I'm always just spending all my money. Yeah.
Be careful with that. At the end of the day, you're going to be rock stars. Okay, you're youngsters at the moment. And stick with us at One Life and then in the Academy and all the things that you're doing amazingly well. Just watch those checkbooks and those credit cards. All right.
Yeah, we'll do.
Fantastic. What we're going to do now is we are going to spin the charity wheel to find out what charity we are going to be doing, because I'm going to be trying to get Luke to find this member, and Dimitri also, if you are listening, or anyone else who's listening to the show this evening, to try and get them to come onto the show so we know a bit about the charity we're supporting next month. Then after we have done the charity wheel, we are going to find a bit more background in relation to 3 Days of Wonder in relation to their music. Okay, so here we go, everybody. Let's add the wheel to the stage and give it a big spin. And we'll find out who is going to be leading the charitable support next month. I did not fix this. It is random.
Oh, what? Jeez.
Oh my God. I'll tell you what, that is the first time in a year that the Wheel of Wonder has picked the artist who is on the show.
Let's go.
So I want to say a special thank you to Limberloss, Richie Mullins, Gary Farmer, Andy Smith, Dawn of the Rising, Katrina Lynn, Callum, Cheryl Jarden, Rachel Hall, and Melody, all the way from Uganda, for being our Artist of the Month. So I don't have to give anyone a call, which is absolutely fantastic.
Jeez.
Luke, you saw me press the button, you saw it spin, you saw it's random. I can't cheat. You've got to get your thinking hats on now. You have got a whole month of fundraising for one charity, okay? Is there a particular charity that the boys tend to pick between you all?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned it a second ago, but we had a fundraising gig on Saturday night for a really amazing charity called Music Venue Trust. They fund grassroots music, and they especially fund grassroots music venues, which so many are closing at the minute, and they're buying them and keeping them open and doing really, really amazing work for the independent music scene. So I think we'll probably go with Music Venue Trust.
Fantastic. Music Venue Trust, if you're listening, I will tag you after tonight's show. I've been doing my research this week about Music Venue Trust because I was very proud of these boys for giving it all the effort they gave it on over the weekend, in terms of like being part of that Music Trust thing at Totnes. And I was very impressed with you boys, really, really impressed. And I loved seeing like the things that were written about you. And also love seeing what was done about the trust. But we spoke about that lots. Even to my local authority today, I was speaking to my local authority about the fact that we need to give these youngsters somewhere to play and somewhere to be able to enjoy the craft that they have. And at the end of the day, we are seeing, even in the borough of Taybi, so many venues closing down, but we're also seeing so many open and new opportunities and new ventures. So for any of those new ventures in the Isle of Taybi or Devon, you know, please give these youngsters a chance to come and play at your venues, because you will not be disappointed. You know, at the end of the day, they need you as much as you need them. You know, we are in a time in Great Britain where we are running out of venues, and we don't want that to happen. We want more venues to be around, because we want to come and see great bands like this. So 150 screaming girlies can come and get through the doors and come and see 3 Days of Wonder. So you've got some thinking time between you and your band. Let's make it a really positive month. Let's make it an amazing month, and let's raise as much money as we can, like you did on Saturday. Okay. Fantastic. Let's do it. Let's go for it. Okay, we put our thinking caps on between us all. Okay, fantastic. So, in relation to sort of like what inspired you, a lot of your music has sort of like an 80s feel to it, from things like Foo Fighters and U2. Before we play your track, which is coming out next, why is it U2 and sort of Foo Fighters sort of really drew you into that type of music and that style of music?
So I'd say like a lot of that influence comes from my parents, really. Like my dad especially has got a pretty extensive record collection. And growing up, it was always kind of, my dad's 50 now, so he was brought up in the 80s. So a lot of his music and a lot of his records are 80s vinyl or 90s vinyl. So yeah, it was just kind of listening to a lot of vinyl growing up, really, that inspired me to, I guess, it was just kind of in me to love that sort of music from the get-go, really. So yeah, that's why we're inspired by them, I think. And it's the same with the other boys as well.
Is that felt across the band? Are they all sort of very much the same sort of music? Is everybody like, this is the music that we like?
Yeah, so like, I mean, it was interesting when we first started out because Finn, so Finn and I, the songwriters, basically, but Finn and I came from a bit of, no, sorry, Finn came from a little bit more of a kind of metal-y background. So like one of his favorite bands is like Guns N' Roses, for example. But yeah, it's kind of bringing that slightly harder edge into what we're doing. I really, really like it personally. I think it makes like quite a unique sound, really. So yeah, I'm really pleased that he's brought those slightly heavier influences into the music.
Fantastic. Well, what we're going to do is we are going to play 3 Days of Wonder because we want to hear their music. So we are 20 minutes into the show and we're going to play their first song. So if you're listening out there, this is 3 Days of Wonder. And I'm going to ask Luke something about Smile. I tell you, let's make everybody's Tuesday smile, so everybody. What actually inspired you to write this song? And what are the lyrics about in terms of the story?
So this song is pretty much about kind of, I feel through those moments, there's moments in life where you're kind of, you're feeling like you're really high and you're kind of king of the world. There's moments where you're not feeling so high and it's always kind of fluctuating up and down, really. And this song is pretty much about those moments where you are in those kind of troughs, really. And there's people who just kind of gravitate towards you, give you support. And then you kind of hang on to those people and they're kind of your friends for life, really. So this song's about people just being around you when the times aren't as good, and lifting you up and giving you support.
Fantastic. Love the lyrics. I've heard them, everybody. They are great lyrics, and it's a great song. Please enjoy it as much as I did. We are going to put Smile on, and we're going to give Luke a bit of time to himself to see if we can encourage any of the other band members. If not, he's going to have to go through the whole interview on his own. Bless him. Okay, here we go then. Let's put Smile on. Coming up next.
If this is freedom,
I'm waiting for the ending, Luke. It's one of those tracks that's got a real drawn out ending. I'll tell you what, well produced, well put together, and an amazing guitar right at the end, which is what we love, and get the crowd going. And the likes of Imran as part of our tutors in terms of he is one of the most amazing guitarists, and also Aziz from Hot Chocolate, who we've got in the group as well, from the 80s band Hot Chocolate, Stone Roses as well. If you're listening this evening, come and have a listen to this young man play. He is going places, I tell you. And also Luke, vocals, perfect, buddy. Absolutely perfect. Who gets the most women out of you lot? In Queen tribute, it was the drummer. Who's sort of the one that really stands out in the band in front of everybody?
No one, AJ.
No one.
All loyal men.
Loyal. I'm not going to get it out. I tell you what, you must be real loyal, Meg, because the boy bands, we were talking about this last week at the Academy. We were talking about Take That and the mischief that those boys got up to, and these boys are really apparently very quiet, and there's no mischief about them. And I was saying to Luke, I said, come on, we've got to capture a bit more about what the world of 3 Days of Wonder is really, really like, especially like on TikTok and things like that. But I don't believe you're all that good. I'm going to ask the girls to come and comment and find out a bit more about what you're like as boys, because I think you're too good by the looks of it. Anyway, Luke, when I first met you and I was first introduced, one of the things that drew me to getting you on the show so early and introducing you to the Academy was how drawn back I was about the amount of talent so soon, joining together as a band and actually getting on the likes of BBC Introducing, which is a hard feat to get on for any band, whether you're a teenage band or whether you're an adult band. It's not easy to get on that show. Exactly, it is not easy to start winning awards so soon in your careers. You've done fantastically well, and you should be really, really proud of yourselves. What have been your highlight moments since you've been together as a band?
I think, like you mentioned before, getting on BBC Introducing was a really big thing for us. It was it took us. We had to be quite resilient, to be fair, with getting on it. And then once we finally got on it, it was quite a celebratory thing, really. We had a little bit of a party after we found out that we were on it. Actually, we got told. So we played a festival last September called Little Orchard Cider Festival, which I think like the Levelers headlined last year. And then Dan Pascoe, who's from BBC Introducing, like he represents BBC Introducing Southwest, was interviewing bands at that festival, and we were playing the BBC Introducing stage. So he came over to us and was like, "Oh, I'd like to give you guys an interview." We're like, "Okay, cool." And then he was like, "Oh, by the way, I'm playing your track on BBC Introducing." And it was he came and told us in person, which was quite a shock, really. Fortunately, it was after our set, so we didn't have to I don't know, we weren't like in shock in our set or anything like that, which was good. But yeah, we had quite a few ciders that night from the cider festival, which was cool.
Fantastic. Cider fest with a group of teenagers, that must be messy. I remember being a teenager. Anyone out there on the male side, we can remember the teenage years, but being in a boy band as well, it's got to get messy. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want to be a fly on the wall the next morning. Anyway, winning Best New Artist at the Devon Music Awards, an amazing feature as well in your career.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. It was funny because so we were asked to play the show before we got so it's partly nominated from like a public perspective as well. So we put it out on our social media as well, basically like, please can you guys nominate us? And then we got a really kind of overwhelming support, which was really amazing from obviously the local community here in Devon. And then we found out that we won the award, and then we had to play our set afterwards. And that was Dan. That was Dan, our new drummer's like first show. So he basically was kind of, oh yeah, like he just turned up, and he'd literally been in the band at that point about maybe a week, probably less. And then he came and like was with all of us getting this award, and then we had to play a set. But that was just so good because we obviously we were very, very happy and very pleased that we won that. So it was just a really, really, really great set. Everyone was super, super hyped for it and super pleased with the result, obviously. So that was great.
Fantastic. How has sort of like, going through what you've been through in terms of forming as a band, winning awards, how has the award scene and going on BBC Introducing, pushed you on in your career? Have you felt any difference since you've been on BBC Introducing and then winning the awards? Has it had an impact on you as a band in terms of the type of gigs that you get to play?
I mean, I'd say yes and no with that, to be fair, because I would say people kind of since getting the award and since being on BBC Introducing, we've probably started to get noticed a little bit more by local promoters and that sort of thing. But at the same time, I think that's also because we're just growing pretty quickly as a local band, really. We can sell a good number of tickets now in comparison to 9 months ago. Which is so it's really good. So I'd say it's hard to kind of pin down the factor of if it's propelled us forward that much. But I mean, I would say it definitely helps. Obviously, the publicity of being on BBC Introducing was great, and obviously when we put it in, in a application for a festival or something like that, now they might take us a bit more seriously because we've got that award and we've got that the fact that we've been on BBC Introducing. But I wouldn't say it's made like a massive significant difference as to before. We're still just doing what we do and we're just doing what we love. So yeah.
Brilliant. Fantastic. That's what I love to hear. I love the fact that you're doing it for the fact that you love music. It's not for the awards, it's not for the fame, but come on, you are like an age group between 15 and 19. There must be some dreams out there of fast cars, going over to play in the big venues. Have the boys been talking about what they're expecting from this, Luke? Are they expecting like £50 a night? Or do they think they're going to become instant millionaires in the next 5 years? What's the vibe in the band?
Oh, it's quite different because like I'm fairly down to earth, I would say, in the fact. But then you've got like Finn, for example, is like he's already kind of planning his meal prep for US tour and stuff like that. Like you've got like this list of what he's going to eat every day and things. So it's quite contrasting, to be fair, which is quite funny. But it's good. It's good to have someone kind of with such kind of, I don't know, just like you said, the dream really, kind of propelling us forwards, and then obviously me also like reining people in a little bit and not getting too excited too soon.
Overexcited.
Got to work
Yeah,
hard.
definitely. Do you know what? We've talked about this. We've talked about this quite a lot in relation to dreams and the future. It's a hard industry to get into, but also it's a very enjoyable industry. Your music is going far, is going very quickly far. There's the likes of the merchandise table in front of you already. The awards are flooding in. The music is being played not just in the UK, I gather also worldwide on radio. You've got some great songs going out across the airwaves. How far has 3 Days of Wonder actually got? Have you looked at your Spotify list lately and seen that your music's been played in a country you didn't think it would be played in?
Yeah, definitely. I think Spotify is always like an interesting one, to be fair, because you kind of like, obviously, like you said, you can look at all your analytics, and then suddenly you've got some guy listening in Laos, for example, or Vietnam, and it's kind of, that's crazy to think about that these days you can have people listening from anywhere in the globe. It's really cool, and it's really nice that we're reaching those people, and they're liking what we're doing.
Fantastic. So if I was a promoter that come and saw you at, in one of your live gigs and I really loved your music, apart from the US, is there anywhere else that the band members would really love to go and do a tour?
Oh, I mean, me personally, I'd really, really want to go on like a European tour, just because I think,
A European
I
tour?
think the difference between kind of Europe and the US is obviously just the history. So there's just so
Yeah.
many kind of amazing historic cities in Europe as opposed to the US, where obviously it's kind of, it's only really existed for, I don't know, 350 years or whatever. And obviously only recently has been really kind of like, I don't know, yeah, since the Industrial Revolution has really got the kind of big cities. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a big fan of kind of like history and places with a bit of a story to tell. So I'd love to go on
Wow,
a European tour. And then
fantastic.
our bassist Charlie, he was in School of Rock when he was a kid, and then his little brother has just been in School of Rock doing the same role. But his little
Okay.
brother was also in the cast that went over and toured in China and toured in South
Wow,
Korea and places like that. So Charlie went over to South Korea to see him in a show, and obviously it's like, because obviously they were away for a long time, so they wanted to go and see them. And he was like, "Oh, it's just a crazy, it's like a completely different world over there." So I'm pretty sure he'd love to do a sort of Asian tour at some point. Yeah,
fantastic.
I think, and then like the other two boys, yeah, I think their sights are pretty set on America, to be fair.
On America. Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, there you go, producers. There you go, promoters. If you pick up this band, they are traveling all over the world by the sounds of it, where it's a European tour or it's an American tour. And by the way, by the sounds of it, like typical teenagers, I think you're going to have a suitcase of food ready in the trunk, to keep them occupied. And also, if they ask you for a drink, make sure you check their ages and make sure they've got their cards on them for identity, okay? We don't want to leave them somewhere in America where the age group is 21, okay? We are looking after youngsters here. We want them back here in the UK, safe and sound. Anyway, in terms of writing music and writing songs, it's quite a challenge to write a song. But to write a song for a band, especially a boy band, it must be quite difficult. Can you remember when you first started writing songs? Where do you see yourself now, being a songwriter?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I just lost you for a second.
That's okay. We were talking about being a band. So if we imagine Gary Barlow being in charge of Take That, okay, writing those song lyrics for the boys, okay. Luke, you're in charge of all your band, okay, and you write song lyrics for the band, okay. How challenging is it to write the song lyrics for this day and age in 2025, and compared to where you started when you was at the beginning?
Oh, I mean, like when I first started writing songs, so I keep all my kind of like voice recordings on your phone. So I've got some dating back to when I was kind of 11 or 12 years old, and I listen back to them. It just makes me cringe. I can't lie. And also, obviously, it's when my voice isn't broken either, so it's really funny kind of listening to my voice develop through my voice moments as well. But like for me, in terms of kind of inspiration for lyrics and stuff personally. Like it kind of comes from for me when I go into that place of writing. The way how I personally write music and write lyrics and melody is I just sort of like sing what kind of feels right. It doesn't like in the beginning for me. I don't write the lyrics first. I usually write the melody first, but the melody is kind of woven on top of some words, and then within that there'll be something like a word or a phrase that kind of sticks out to me. Does have a theme to it that I think has potential, basically. And then from there, that's where I'll get the inspiration for the lyrics for the rest of the song, and build off of that. So like for Smile, for example, I think the opening lyrics for the chorus, like "Smile in the Daylight," was something that was said on kind of one of the original takes, if that makes sense. And then from that,
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
the title of the song came from that. But obviously, and also, like I said before, the theme of kind of when you're up, everyone feels like they're with you, and when you're down, it feels like you're on your own. But there's people who will support you. So yeah, that's kind of where I get personally inspiration from. And obviously, like looking at what's going on in the world around a little bit, because we do want our songs to relate to our audience. And obviously, what's going on in the world, there's some pretty scary things going on, to be fair. So
It's
yeah,
a
take a
scary
bit of
time
inspiration
for
from
young
that.
people. It really is. It is a scary time for young people. What's going on in this world at the moment. If I'm like a similar age to your dad, so a big shout out to your dad for being 50. We are at a
Okay.
day and age where we're very scared about, our kids. I've got kids myself, about how you're going to grow up and what you're going to go through in this day and age. And we've seen so much go on in terms of poverty, in terms of wars, in terms of, politics all over the place. So for teenagers these days, it is a really different place, and to sort of grow up in a different place. But for those people who want to grow up in the music world, you know, would you really encourage them to continue to step into the music world and be a boy band, just like 3 Days of Wonder?
Oh, I mean, like, it depends how much you love it, I guess. Like, I think you've just got to do whatever what your heart's kind of telling you. It's kind of cliche, but you've got to do what kind of your heart's telling you to do. If you do have that urge and you really love music and you want it and you want that to be something that you want to do, then, you know, just do it. I wouldn't say don't do it because it's scary or, you know, something bad might happen. Like, if you really want to do it, then I think you've just got to go ahead and do it.
Fantastic. Is the current climate of sort of like pubs closing down, venues closing down, you know, the streaming industry where everyone can flick from one song to another, you know, the charts to me have gone quite quiet, you know. So for kids these days listening to music, and I read a report only this week telling us about sort of kids almost not listening to as much music as they used to. What's the vibe for youngsters when you go to college, when you go to school, when you're out in the community? Is music just as much there as it was, like it was in the 80s?
I mean, I would say so, to be fair. Like, I don't think I can name any one of my kind of, you know, peers who literally they don't listen to music. So I would say it still is there. I mean, it is a scary time in the fact that, like you said about streaming services, you know, people don't buy hard copy music anymore, really. So it is tricky in the fact that obviously there's not as much money there. And like one of the biggest things at the minute is, which is a bit more of a recent thing, to be fair, since sort of COVID, is that people just don't really buy tickets in advance. So like we were really pleased with our gig last week that, you know, 3 days before or 2 days before we were on 100 tickets, you know. But talking to the promoter of the, well, not the promoter, to the events organizer at the Barrelhouse, she was saying kind of people they just buy tickets so late these days. So it's so hard to kind of, you know, guarantee that you're going to cover costs at the very least, you know, and obviously ideally make profit, because people literally decide, you know, either evening before or like literally the day of the event, they're going to go and do something. So yeah, I'd say that's pretty scary.
It is pretty scary, but you've done so well. You know, you've got a great website for people to go and visit. You know, your social media presence, we're working on that one, but it's absolutely fantastic. You're a great like group of lads. You really are. And your music is absolutely amazing. So we are 44 minutes into the interview. We're going to play some of your amazing music again. We're going to go for Sometimes by 3 Days of Wonder. Tell us about this track. What's the story behind it?
So the story behind this track, this one's more about a kind of, I guess it's a bit more of a story rather than a theme, but it's about that sort of areas that are, you know, less fortunate, a bit more deprived, and, you know, there's kids who obviously still have big dreams, still want to do things, still want to achieve, and it's kind of saying, like, no matter my situation, even if it is bad, I'm going to give it my all. And when I get to that point where I've kind of given everything I've got, you know, like as long as someone gives me some support, then I'll get to that. I'll get to where I need to be.
Brilliant, fantastic, great lyrics and great story behind this one. Okay, so Sometimes, everyone, and then right over this, we're going to finish off our Food Bank month by showing you all an amazing video which has come from the UK. So we're going to play Sometimes, and then we're going to go back to the Food Bank, okay?
She never really had no time for me.
Fantastic. Well, as you can see, everybody, we were joined by the amazing Finn, but he was having technical problems. I don't know whether he's having technical problems or he's actually hiding still, that he doesn't want to come and join us, Luke. What do you reckon?
Oh, I don't know. We'll have to see.
We'll have to see. He was having technical problems, bless him. So Luke has turned up like a typical school day, 50 minutes late, okay, but he's still here trying to log on into the studio. So do you know what? These punishments for these boys, I'll tell you what, I think for the rest of the lads, I think, do you know what, for the whole next 3 gigs or 2 gigs, what do you reckon, that we make them pack down on their own and Luke gets to sit at the bar and having a nice cold drink while everybody else packs up, and then they even put Luke's stuff away for him for not turning up? What do you reckon?
Yeah, that sounds ideal.
That sounds ideal. Luke's done so much work tonight, lads. Come on, you've left him on his own, and I think he deserves a night off at the next gig. So all of you who haven't turned up, you're now looking after Luke's stuff for the rest of the night, and he can basically be like Freddie Mercury, just sit in the background. The only thing that you're going to put away on that night is just your microphone. You're going to drop it like this. There you go, lads. You can all clean up after me. What do you reckon?
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
We're going to get these boys back in, Finn, if you can join us, please do log back in and try as hard as you can, mate, because we would love to meet you as well. So, everybody, we are going to do what we do best. We are going to start raising money for charity. This is our last day for Global Foodbanks in relation to the UK. We are just as equal as the rest of the society around the world. We are struggling when it comes to food going out to every single part of Great Britain. We are nowhere near the likes of Uganda and Ethiopia, and we are nowhere near some of the other countries in the third world. But our families are impacted on a daily basis in relation to not being able to get enough food for their children and enough food for their families. And this video really does highlight some of the surprises. What you think the UK, when everybody thinks of the UK being a country where there's a lot of money, a lot of jobs, and a lot of ability to get food from the whole of the UK. This video will really highlight to you some of the differences you're going to see. So it is about 5 minutes long. Please sit back because it is the last chance to have a look at the need for food banks and the people who need your support and need your help. So after tonight's video, we are going to have a quick quiz with Luke and also Finn, if we can get him talking. Hang on a minute, everyone. Let's cut Finn in to get him. Hey, Finn.
Hello, how are you?
Yay! Finn from 3 Days of Wonder, everybody. How are we?
Very well,
What time do you call this? What time do you call this?
Sorry, very sorry. My headphones weren't working.
Well, there's no excuses. You on a show. At the end of the day, mister, you're 50 minutes late. Lucky for you. Lucky for you, Luke's decided that actually the band is all going to get some punishments when it comes to the next few gigs, okay? So Luke, because you've made him do the whole show on his own, okay, is basically taking the night off after each gig for the next 3 gigs. You lot are going to be packing up his stuff for the next 3 gigs, and you're all going to buy him a drink and let him sit to one side so he can relax. What do you reckon, Finn?
Fair enough. So I was eating.
Fair enough.
Got that message.
Anyway, Finn, come on. While we've got you here, okay, we've got 15 minutes before the show finishes, okay? Tell me a bit about your role in 3 Days of Wonder and what it really is like a day in the life of 3 Days of Wonder band.
I am the lead guitarist and songwriter, mainly instrumental arrangement, but yeah, for now it's at the minute instrumental arrangement and Luke takes lyrics. But a day in the life is probably, well, I'm at college at the minute, so I've got to juggle college. But I do a lot of, I send 5 emails minimum a day, so there's lots of emails, and I try to at least write a song a day to try and keep the ideas fresh. So yeah, that's pretty much a day in the life right now.
Fantastic. we were talking about a day in the life of 3 Days of Wonder when you were in a gig. You know, we all have watched all of the documentaries when it comes to Queen and how they grew up as like bands. We've also had Robbie Williams' life on the screen this year in relation to what he felt his life was being in a boy band. Luke tells me that you're all very good as boys and you've all committed to your relationships. But if we go to one of your gigs, what's the vibe like in terms of your gigs?
Definitely very high energy. Definitely a lot of crowd interaction, crowd participation. Yeah, definitely like a very engaging show. Lots of fun.
Very engaging
Lots of fun
show. I love it. I'll tell you what, you two are so like honoured and honest with your partners. I'll tell you what, if they're listening to the show, you've got some keepers over here. Okay, they are really dedicated to you. You know, as male musicians and as a male boy band, I'm quite shocked. So when you go back to college, does anybody see you, Finn? You know, do they talk to you? Do they know a 3 Days of Wonder?
At college, yeah, we're quite popular at the minute. They all love our music. They're streaming it non-stop. So yeah, I'm known as that guy in 3 Days of Wonder quite a lot.
Oh, well, there you go, Luke. We've made an impact already, Luke. You've got it around. We've been talking about image, haven't we? In the academy, we've been talking about image and saying, you know, we need to spread you boys around a bit. So when you come back off a gig, do you show it off to your mates?
Definitely, yeah. Lots of bigging up gigs and, you know, well, just talking about where we're playing, trying to get people to come down. But yeah, lots of well, not showing off, but lots of bigging up the gig that we've just done. Let's say that.
Definitely. Wicked answers. I like the answers. Absolutely brilliant. You know, has there been anything what's been really highlighted for you being in a boy band, you know, in 2025? Is there anything been really special for you being part of 3 Days of Wonder?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the opportunities that have arisen for us are absolutely awesome, and we're super grateful for everyone that's involved. Just highlights for me, we played the Barrelhouse on the weekend, and like it was really cool because when the music started, everyone in the room was jumping, and everyone was jumping, and the floors were like moving, and it was ridiculous. It felt like, you know, such a full circle moment. And when we played at Bomber a few weeks ago, our first headline show in Exeter, everyone knew our lyrics and they were all singing along. They were louder than we were, so it was really awesome. So yeah, that kind of recognition is absolutely phenomenal for a band at our stage.
It's a great feeling, absolute great feeling to go and play on any stage, whether you're in a pub or whether you're at a festival, for people to sing your lyrics back to you, those that you've written. You know, it takes a lot and it feels so amazing, absolutely amazing. You know, you've done really well, Finn. You know, we're all really impressed with you. All the music that we've heard tonight has been absolutely amazing. Your guitar, young man, for someone of your age, you are very, very talented.
Thank you very, very much.
Amazing. You know, we've got some comments coming in on the show, and I know comments have come from my colleagues over in the academy from America, and also from Greece, where they've been very impressed with you as a boy band. But in particular, those who are going to hear your guitar in tonight, you know, they're going to be very impressed. So come on, seriously, was you given your first guitar as you were like literally crawling as a baby?
No, I only started 6 years ago.
Really? Oh my God.
But I basically haven't put it down since I started. So yeah, I spend a lot of time practicing and playing. It's just,
who's your guitar hero? If you had one guitarist who you wanted to be following, who would you like to be?
I'd probably say like Slash or Brian May, somebody like that. Probably like Phil Collins from Def Leppard. They're all idols to me, and yeah, I love like the big rock icons when it comes to playing guitar.
Fantastic. We've got some great rock icons to introduce you to. And after the show this evening, we are going to do a bit of a One Live special, because I'll tell you what, Luke has been working really hard with us here in the academy. And what I'm going to do after he finishes 6 weeks with us is I'm going to bring some of those guitarists over from America, some of those singers who have won the awards and walked the carpets, to come and meet you boys you know, to give you some encouragement, to talk to you about their sort of journeys as boy bands in like lead singers, lead guitarists and things like that. So we're going to have a little bit of a party at the end of the 6 weeks. We're going to try and get as many people as we can come and say hi to you guys and see how far around Europe, by the sounds of it, according to Luke, and USA, according to some of your other colleagues, you want to really get to. So let's try and get you boys as far and wide as we possibly can, and make sure you're also entered into competitions like the ISSA Awards in Atlanta next year. You know, we've got to put your application in December, and I think you guys are ready to take on the world already, because you sound absolutely amazing. And for talent of you lot at your age, the world's your oyster. I tell you, we've got some great people we can introduce you to, and I really will help you do that. But you've got to help me. Okay, so we have got to be looking at the charity of the month, which is the food bank. So we're going to have a sit back for 5 minutes and have a look at that video. And while I'm doing that, you two have got some conversations to have, because for the first time in a year, the Wheel of Wonder did actually choose the person who is on the screen tonight to represent next month in terms of charity, and also highlighting that charity and what the other artists are going to be doing for the month. So you've got 5 minutes between you to come up with some ideas to tell everybody what next month is going to look like on One Life. Okay, so we will add this to the stage. Okay, this is what life's like in Great Britain for the Great British people in relation to food banks at the moment. Sit back, relax for the next 5 minutes, because I think you're going to be in a bit of a shock.
I have never seen anything like what families are going through now. I don't know how they're going to cope. I don't know how they're going to react when there's no food in the fridge. I don't know what they're going to do when the children doesn't have breakfast going to school.
We can very, very much say that the cost of living crisis has hit different parts of the country very, very unequally. Inflation has predominantly affected things which people with lower income spend more on, so that is things like energy and food.
The increased price of basic products have made life very difficult for the lower income bracket, or the lowest 20 to 40% of earners nationwide. This is Nick DeStackpole. He is a single dad of 3 and lives in housing provided by the borough of Chelsea and Kensington. He relies entirely on universal credit for his income, which is paid out monthly and provided by the government for individuals who are out of work or living on a low income.
I'm looking for part-time work. Because I take my 2 youngest into primary school, the earliest I could start if I have a job in that area is 9:30, and then I have to finish at 2:30 to collect them at 3:10. So that is the problem. In fact, I haven't come across any jobs yet that are just those tight hours. I don't have any family, so I have no one to help me. And the temporary work I'm applying for is mostly close to minimum wage, which is less than most of the childcare in this borough.
For around a fifth of parents in the UK, childcare costs account for more than half of their household income. The UK is now one of the most expensive countries for childcare in the OECD. So for those without a decent income, there is no chance to pay for childcare to be able to go and work.
So the universal credit, because I have 3 children, I get tops up. So it's just over 1,000 a month, which sounds quite a lot, but it soon goes, because I have the gas and electricity. The gas, particularly when it's cold, is costing a lot. Now, what I do is I turn the gas on and off.
In December, with gas and electricity prices through the roof, over 7 million were going without basics like food and heat, and 4.7 million were behind on their bills.
Food is crazily expensive. For instance, the other day, we hadn't had ketchup for about a month. The children said, come on, let's have ketchup again. It's nice with the chips. The cheapest ketchup I could get was $4.50. This is where Dad's house has really helped. I go to lunch there once a week, but also they have a food bank that makes all the difference. And Billy, he was a single dad himself. He set up this charity 15 years ago. He really helps me because he knows I've got 3 kids, so I haven't got any other help.
You say
is a food bank. It's not just for single dads, it's for anyone in the community.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Thank you.
So that's probably saving me £600 a month. So that enables me to stay solvent. But without that, well, our diet would suffer.
We've got roughly between 60 and 70,000 families registered. We've got between 40 and 50 families a day coming to Dad's house. The demand for the work that we do went through the roof, especially due to the cost of living. And it's absolutely heartbreaking when you see a mum or a dad who is absolutely struggling when it comes to not being able to cook for their children.
Almost 90% of independent food banks say they saw an increase in demand compared to last year. And over
I'm going to stop it there because I think we have, over the last month, really provided you with a clear understanding of where food banks are around the world, including the UK. Those figures there, I am absolutely shocked by, you know, in terms of what we've seen around the world, from the likes of Uganda down to the likes of the UK, in terms of the demand on the food banks and the demand of the fact that we can't even get the basics to all of these families. 60,000 people in that one borough alone. You know, boys, you know, growing up as teenagers, you know, can you see that there's a demand for people to be able to go to their local food banks? If you go to the supermarket, is there a lot of people wanting extra food or needing extra food?
Yeah, I mean, like when I was at school, that food bank was one of the charities that we kind of did quite a lot of fundraising for. And similar to the video that we just watched there, I can't remember her name, but the representative for the kind of for Newton Abbot, I think, or Team Bridge came in and kind of talked about it with us. And yeah, it's definitely like a really prevalent issue at the minute. You know, people are definitely struggling financially, and as a consequence of that, you know, it's much harder for a lot of people to get food on the table.
Definitely. And a big shout out to your management team, which I expect is your parents at the moment. Are they your managers?
Pretty much, yeah.
Feeding you hungry teenagers and also being a boy band must be a quite difficult job to handle in relation to your wages and things like that. Do they basically take your wages at the end of the night and then give you pocket money, or do they actually allow you the freedom of spending the money?
At the minute, everything that we're earning, we're just reinvesting. So like putting it back into recording usually at the minute, because it's just it's so expensive. So yeah, but they are obviously being very, very helpful, giving us some nice meals, especially Dan as well. Like literally, that boy can eat for England, man. I've never seen one guy eat so much in my whole life.
Bless him. He's had a lot of laugh this program, I tell you. He's a big eater, is he? All right. Okay. Fantastic.
He's ripped,
okay.
though, so it's all right.
He's what? Sorry.
He's ripped. Like he's
ripped, is he?
But he just eats so much food.
Don't you hate those type of people? Is he your personal bodyguard as well? You know, you've got a group of lads playing gigs. It must need a personal bodyguard.
Yeah,
don't mess with him. You're safe then. You're safe then. So basically, you're sorted for when you go on your around the world tour. You got a band member who can look after you all, and keep you safe.
Yeah, we don't need security. We're just sending.
You don't need security.
As long as he eats the right amount.
Yeah.
So keep him fed. It'd be absolutely
fueled.
Get fueled. Lads, listen, we're 107 and we are basically coming towards the end of the show. But before we go, we have got to do our quiz. We're a bit late this evening in terms of going over time. But I'll tell you what, it's been an absolutely amazing journey with 3 Days of Wonder, because at the end of the day, they have basically come into the scene so young. You know, lads, you know, have you got anything you're looking forward to between now and Christmas?
Yeah, big time. Next month, we're playing on the main stage at Great Estate Festival down in Cornwall, which we're super excited about. Supergrass are headlining, and it's going to be loads of fun. I'm personally really excited for that. And what about you, Luke?
Yeah, I mean, we've got some pretty exciting supports coming up next month. We're supporting a band who are doing really well in the Southwest. They've just supported Libertines on their on their European tour. They're called the Ultraviolets, and they were supporting them at a couple of really cool local venues. One down in Plymouth called the Junction, and then one in Exeter called the Cavern. So those are a couple of really exciting gigs I'm looking forward to.
Brilliant. Plenty of places to go and see these guys, okay? So keep them in your calendar. Check out their websites and their socials, okay? Because they're all over the place. And make sure you pick up that merchandise in front of the stage, okay? Because they need your money to hopefully fill up the band members in terms of their food supplies, okay? Because we've just learned that it's not just the food supplies you need, it is also the band's bouncer. So when they're going to the likes of America, just don't mess with him, all right? Okay, guys, we have got to do what we do best for charity on One Life. We're going to be emptying not your pockets this month. We are emptying your food cupboards. So, Luke, if I was to go into your food cupboard right now, what would I find?
Oh, lots of things, lots of nice, healthy things. You might find some like rice noodles in there. Might find, I don't know, maybe some like Marmite. I don't know, things like that. Some baked beans. Stuff like that, you know.
How about you, Finn? If I was to raid your cupboards, what would I find?
Probably quite a lot of tinned fish, some natural peanut butter, pasta, quite a lot of pasta, eggs, crisps, loads of stuff. Yeah.
I tell you what, you two are not convincing me at all. I've got a teenager who lives at home. Okay, don't try to pull the wool over my eyes. If I went in those cupboards, there'd be crisps, chocolate. There would be McDonald's wrappers all at the end of the bed, pizza boxes everywhere. Especially after a gig, I bet it's like, Dad, can we just pop off to KFC because I'm hungry? Is it like that in the car on the way home?
I mean,
we do usually have a little kind of routine McDonald's stop after a gig. To be fair,
but pre-gig it's always like a tin mackerel or like a tuna sandwich or something.
I love the fact that you're all acting, it's got to be. I'll tell you, anybody who takes on this band, please, take them with a pinch of salt. They all act so innocent. On tonight's show, they've told us how faithful they are to their girlfriends and they eat tins of tuna before they start their gig. Whereas Luke has already told us that, in fact, you actually, during your gigs and after your gigs, help yourself to cider at the local cider gig. So please do not tell us, like, out on One Life, how good you really are or not, okay? But you're doing fantastically well, and we're all proud of you. Anyway, we're going to empty your cupboards. For the rest of the band, you are going to be fined 4 pieces of items from your fridge or your cupboards to the food bank because you didn't turn up, okay? So every question these two get wrong, you've got to take 4 of, okay? And that's your fine for this evening for not turning up. You two, you only have to empty 1 of them, okay? So we need a big box of food over to that food bank because actually it's the last show, okay? So whether you get it right or wrong, I really want to see a good effort by 3 Days of Wonder. Going down to that local food bank, wearing your 3 Days of Wonder T-shirts and sending me a picture into the show, okay? So this little quiz we got together is all about boy bands. It's random, so it may be from the 80s. It may be from now. Let's see what they've got on the show tonight when it comes to quizzes. Let's see if it's nice and easy. Here we go. Right, can you hear it, boys?
I think so.
Okay, so basically you have got to tell me what the lyrics are, of the song next. So I'll give you a clip of the lyrics and you've got to tell me what the song lyrics are afterwards, okay? So let's guess the lyric.
You know it's up to you. I think it's only fair.
Okay, do you know what the lyrics are after that bit from the Beatles?
Go Finn.
Come on, Luke. I know the chorus.
Loves you.
Why does hurt you to apologize for
I was just about to say that.
You were just about to say that, was you, Luke?
Yeah.
Can you remember the bit? Do you like the Beatles? Do you know who the Beatles are?
I do actually like the Beatles, to be fair.
No, that's all right. Okay.
An early pressing of the Abbey Road album. It's They're great.
Jeez.
Ah, cool. Brilliant, excellent. Well, let's go for it again then.
I don't know.
It's just a
that
bit
song,
more
I can't
modern.
lie.
Does anyone know who that is?
Oh, I don't know.
It was Youngtown. I'll be your everything. You find that I'm the everything that you need.
Oh, I know this one. The way
Come
that
on,
you
then.
flip, the way that you flip your hair gets me overwhelmed. Yeah.
Let's see if you're right, Luke. Let's see if you're
Hell
right.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, Luke. Luke, I tell you what, you've just saved that person who eats all the food in the band. You know, emptying out his McDonald's. You know, he's managed to keep that under his bed now.
No. Finn, I answered the last one, so you've got to answer this one.
Yeah, but Luke, if you know it, help out Finn, bless him.
I don't know it.
Don't know that one.
Finn, do you know it? No.
No.
Do you know it?
I know. I'm not. I can't see it. Okay.
New kids on the block had a bunch of hits. Chinese food makes me sick.
Okay, a bit more modern. Do you know the
Now
lyrics?
I'm gonna go back to the shop and give it a little kick.
Do you reckon that's what it is? Luke, if you've got it, I think it's guessing.
And I think it's fly when girls stop by for the summer.
Oh no, I was so close.
Hang on a minute. I'm just coming back just to make sure these two are behaving behind my back because I can't actually see them while I'm doing the quiz, okay? And they're not like using Google or getting their mates to check in, all right? Okay, but boys, just to let you know, you're not doing very well, okay? You've got virtually all of them wrong at the moment. Come on, boys, let's see if we can get a bit better, okay, behind the scenes. So to let everybody else know tonight, we are on a bit of an extension to our show this evening because we have got a latecomer, Finn, who's joined us from 3 Days of Wonder. We're giving Finn a little bit of an exposure, you know, bless him. Okay, so back to the quiz, everybody. If I can find it, it's gone. Where's it gone? Here we go. I can't even pronounce that band's name. Can anyone else?
No.
Does anyone know who it is?
No.
No.
We'll just let it play and no. I'll tell you what, your dad would know this one.
Oh really?
Yeah, he would definitely know this one. If he's watching it tonight, or if he watches a rerun, play this back to him, and I bet he can guess. Do you know what it is?
I don't know.
Ask your dad about this song when we get off.
Cause I want it all or nothing at all.
I don't know any of these people, man.
Do you know what? I'm loving this. I'm loving the fact that we're doing boy bands and you know nothing about your boy bands. You need to go back and do some history of boy bands and find out what they were like out from the 80s to now. Because I'll tell you what, go and have a research. There's some different class of boy bands out there.
O-Town.
There's nowhere left to fall when you reach the bottom. You should ever leave me. The life is still go on, believe.
Come on, you must know who the Beach Boys are.
Corvin.
Why do you keep giving it to Finn? Every time I say you must know who the Beach Boys, Luke's like, who's the Beach Boys? Don't you even know who the
Beach Boys? But I'd never really listened to them. I'd always listen to the Beatles, not the Beach Boys. Finn, do you know it?
I don't think they even know who the Beach Boys are.
The world will show nothing to me.
I get around, round, I get around, I get around, round, I get around.
Make you my world.
All for one.
You my world.
Boy
do
band
it.
from America. Do you know All for One?
I don't.
I'm going to put them out of their misery, everyone, because they have done absolutely dire this evening when it comes to boy bands. They have not done their research. You know, Luke, you know that we do quizzes on this show. We have spoken about it loads, okay? And I thought you would have got a bit prepared for this tonight, you know, knowing that you may have a quiz and probably the topic was going to be boy bands. You know, you could have got your boys prepared, okay, a lot better.
Sorry.
Anyway,
we got one.
Well, you got 1 out of 10. You got 1 out of 10, which means that's 9, and 9 times 4 is
9 times 4, 36.
36. 36 items for the other lads who have not come to this show tonight. Okay, and there's 2 of them, I gather.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
There is.
So basically, we are looking at 80 items of food going to your local food bank in Devon, and I gather that you guys are from St. Newton Abbot. Sorry, do you know where your local food bank is?
Yeah, I feel like I do actually.
You do?
I think I do as well. I think I do.
Have they got a name?
I don't. Oh, put me on the spot here, man.
Lads, seriously, right? If you are from Newton Abbot, from Devon, okay, will you contact 3 Days of Wonder, because they're coming down. They're going to come down and meet you. They are going to literally bring you 96 items of food. Lads, you probably haven't got 96 items underneath your bed, let alone in your cupboards. I think you're going to have to raid your friends, family, and also your school and college to help you out on this little challenge, because you've got 1 week. That's all I'm giving you. 1 week to send me proof that food has gone to a local food bank. And I want to see a picture of 3 Days of Wonder with them, okay? And possibly just leave them a little bit of merchandise to let them know who 3 Days of Wonder is, okay? Fantastic. You've been absolutely amazing on the show, Luke. Finn, thank you so much for joining us. We have we've gone over a bit on time today. Is there anyone particularly you want to say thank you to?
Just to you, Adrian, for having us on. Really, really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's
definitely worthwhile. Brilliant, Finn. We've enjoyed your music, buddy. Keep up your music. And I'm going to just close tonight's show by saying, if you would like to be on this show, embarrassed just as much as what Luke's been tonight, and also, you know, being a late detention for Finn in relation to coming on late, you can join us in May. We have plenty of places left in May still. So if you want to come and join us on the show and come onto a podcast, please contact us, contact AJ, and we'll get you booked in. If you want to come and join us during our pilot scheme on the Academy, also come and join us, and Luke will be telling you what it's been like to be in the Academy very, very soon, because he's on week 4 and he's only got 2 weeks left, okay? So, lads, we will see you again soon. Good luck to 3 Days of Wonder, and we will chase up with you in the next 3 to 6 months, all right? Take good care of yourselves. See you later.
Thank you,
Bye.